All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am back. So let's see. We'll see what shakes loose. Good morning. I'm back again. I thank you guys so much for tuning in. And for the small little break, I'm back. So, we've been talking about this morning, and we've been discussing the dare I say the predictive programming, or what I'm calling is it seems like we've had a preview trailer since 9/11. Even in those scenes, some of the scenes that were released, if you were to just do if you were just go through a montage of photos from 2001 of 9/11, you would see the actual was it 2000 or 2001, that you would see images with people wearing masks. But then when I look at you have a world air quality index right now. I'm telling you, we've had a preview, not to mention the I Can't Breathe campaign. All of these have been campaigns. We've had 20 years of preview trailers with all of these main points of development. Okay. Every trailer consisted of a theme that's being developed right now. Okay. You've had your air quality, affected when the towers went down. You saw the air quality was affected then, and you could see people that were working on a ground zero. Those people were wearing they were wearing masks. And I've covered this before. I've talked about in the past about, there is a projected that the next lockdown will be based on the climate change, ESG. Okay. So that's you don't need a crystal ball, my friends. That's the other point that I was making earlier. You don't need a crystal ball. You just have to look over your shoulder. Okay. I've even gone back into items in which I covered back in 2020. I'm going to go over a couple of those right now, just to see how this thing has developed since then. Of course, Mr. Skates. He's not a climate scientist, but he's been doing programming. You've had your people, his whole Mr. Rogers, motif, his tie and his sweater and his, less than toned belly, or whatever you want to call it. He leaks out programming all the time. He really does. So let's keep going here. The Federal Register.gov, it talked at the rebuilding and enhancing programs to resettle refugees and planning for the impact of climate change. These liners are are over 2 years old now. Okay. So we've talked about that, the last one. And so and typically, whatever the crisis, the physician's warnings, that your health warnings are going to come from whatever drives the crisis. The crisis drives the precautions. Okay. But you better believe, if you don't, in this case, the air is something that we all can't get away from. There's no escape from that. So if you don't wear a mask, in this case, to me, you're going to be affected by whatever these wildfires are, these Canadian wildfires. We looked at maps on infographics and whatnot. I tried to give you all that earlier. But let's just go back in time a little bit, just for a second here. But if they're telling you to stay, it's a soft lockdown that you're on already, okay? So let's go in here. Let's have a quick looky, all right? I'm going to give you guys a full screen on this. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. Joseph Francis Burton. Thank you for coming in. I appreciate it. Nice to see you. Okay, so let's just look. I just want to have a look back here. Like I said, we're going to look over our shoulders. We don't need a crystal ball. No, we don't. I won't say I wish I had one because I don't need one. Okay, so listen. Okay, so here it is. This was published back on. Let's see. What is it? What is it? What is it? This is 2020. Look, published September 23rd, 2020 at 12:40 p.m. That was Eastern Standard Time. This was an opinion piece. Project Syndicate opinion. We need to act boldly now if we are to avoid economy-wide lockdowns to halt climate change. Now, we were just talking about, the center of our last broadcast featured Chicago. And of course, I have told you these reporters or these journalists, they are temperature checking everything. They're temperature checking the tourists, the joggers, the locals. They're also temperature checking. They're checking for complicity as well. Okay. You will be, the complicity issue will come up again. Are you hunkering down? I told you the participatory obedience. They're trying to see how much is it affecting your crowds. How many restaurant guests are you missing at this time? Do you normally have more or less? They need that. This narratives and crises have to be fed. Like we were talking about earlier, dark spirits are fed too, but light spirits have to be fed. Okay, the spirit of the crises. The spirit of the crises is what I'm going to call it. So maybe I'll call this whole thing spirit of crises. It has to be fed. Be fed what? You say, Black Spring. Well, it has to be fed with, fear and impending and conditions, and they want you to look at the science, trust the science, right? Because I'm gonna tell you, believe it or not, I would imagine, I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist, that's not my domain of competence, but just here's the thing. Once you're affected, once the spirit of the crisis is going, whether you know it or not, you might be, if you're dealing with any kind of fear, the spirit of fear, you go around projecting fear. You have fear within yourself, you go around projecting it on others. And it just keeps, it's on a loop. It's wash, rinse, repeat. Okay, so let's look back at this. So we looked at Chicago. There were a list of cities that I went over this morning. Shout out to Marcy T, as well as Uncool Paranoia, told us about what's going on in Detroit. You have a world air quality index. So add that to your forecast, okay? We'll have a gander at that. Okay, so let's do that really quick before we go in it. Let's just switch the gear just a smidge. I just want to, because we've got this, okay? We've got this. This is an opinion piece. Of course, Almighty Skates has been wrapped into these conversations in the past. But let's look at this world index here. When they give you fear, but they don't show you where you can find this information, because they realize that once you start looking, if somebody really starts examining this stuff, they're going to ask more questions. Okay. And I've told you all these conditions are affecting us on so many levels. I think brain fog is something that I don't know whether the brain fog is coming from the air quality, possibly, but I think all of our elements, our food, our water, the air, all of these things are working against us. Okay. I'm a meta thinker. I promote meta thinking. I'm an advocate for meta thinking. But if you're lethargic, if your rest is not, if you don't have quality rest, if you aren't having, it affects the way that you read. It affects everything. It affects your fluency. You start to have problems reading or managing things that you don't normally have. Your automaticity goes down. With all of these elements, your human life and thriving and how you thrive is going to be affected by this. That was another point that I was making. These are my assertions right now. This stuff is definitely affecting us. Okay. All right. So whatever with the cookies here. Okay. So here you go. What you see before you, I have never looked at this piece before, but let's look at this really quickly. Not going to do a whole lot of interpretations. I'm going to go to places that I have had conversations with. Shout out to Uncool Paranoia, which she's going to be coming on later. Any content creators, I encourage you, please drop your links in. You don't need to ask. Just drop your links. This is a part of the watering your garden. We water our gardens by mouth. by the keyboard, whatever. That's what we have to do. So look here, your major city. Of course, number 1 is not where we need to go, but look at this. So you have Detroit. You have, let's see, 2, 3, and 4, Detroit, Chicago, Minneapolis. And these cities are the hotbeds right now. These cities are hotbeds. So you have, this is USAQI. USAQI, the green, you're good, 0 to 50. Moderate is in the yellow, 51 to 100. Unhealthy for sensitive groups, 101 to 150. Unhealthy, 151 to 200. Very unhealthy, 201 to 300. And hazardous comes in at a whopping 301 plus. Add some more pluses on it. Okay, air quality and pollution city ranking. So, hell, why don't we just go ahead and add this to our list? You might want to save this. Friends, I feel like, look, IQAir.com. That's another reference that's in this particular article that we covered earlier. You might better tag on to these to just see what they're, because I'm telling you, air, we can have, of course, our own ideas and things that we're going to heed. But I'm telling you, this air quality thing is not something that we can ignore, because I'm telling you, whether you have pre-existing conditions or not, I'm telling you, there's going to be a side effect to what's going on. It cannot be. Let's see. Joseph Francis Burton says, thanks, but I only have one social media account. Okay, so look, it's just looky here. Let's go back to this. All right. So Detroit, USA. Detroit's coming in at 168. Shout out to Uncool Paranoia. Thank you so much for sharing. Everybody on the ground, please send me those reports. Send me your IQ Air. Send me your air quality reports, and I'll put them on. I'm thinking I'm going to do a sunrise. Sunrise is going to be something that's going to be coming on regularly. That's my most productive time, and I think it's good. So Detroit, USA, 168. So that puts you in the unhealthy range from that 151 to 200 point on the U.S. Air Quality Index. So that's your U.S. AQI. All right, so you got people following this thing. Look at the numbers here. Number 3, Chicago. Chicago is what I was covering. Another coming into the same unhealthy at 168 with 9.4 people following it. Minneapolis, USA, 152. It's still, it's definitely, it's in that range. So I don't know. I think Chicago talked about maybe them getting some storms. Of course, one thing leads to another, right? So once you finally get past, you might get a smidge of relief on that. You got to deal with your thunderstorms. Okay. I tell you, it's a monsoon. These people have had to be studying this stuff for years. Like, if you look at everything seasons and cycles. And because right now you can't rely on what you, dare I say, the norms in terms of seasons and cycles, but you can rely on their science, especially if they're using it, if it's working against us, right? If specific winds create monsoons in the South Pacific, then they have to know what type of winds that would be needed in a manufactured crisis, right? I'm just saying. Shout out to Joseph Francis Burton. He says, I am in Socorro, New Mexico. I don't think we have an air quality report. LOL, the air does sometimes get bad during the fire season. Well, I'm just going to say this, it's, to me, like I said, I'm not a scientist by any stretch of the imagination. That's not my domain of competence. But to me, it's going to be, well, how is the wind, however the wind is blowing. I would imagine that it's going to push these qualities. It's going to push these qualities into other parts of the country. I can't imagine it not. Okay, so then let's look. So Toronto, you go to your orange category. That's the sensitive, unhealthy for sensitive groups. So the people in Canada, Toronto, Sao Paulo, Pakistan, Peru, those people are in unhealthy, sensitive, are in that unhealthy for sensitive groups range. And I told you guys something else. You guys are global citizenship is what you're in right now. It's look, you have a world air quality. Your crises are going to be ranked amongst the world's. Your conditions. It's all your food. I report on food as well, so don't you worry. It's like there's so much news, and I'm telling you, all of these crises are affecting the quality of life. Especially the food to me tastes like wood or plastic. Shout out to Marcy T. But can you imagine? I want to do a poll. Do you go to bed waking up tired? And I'm not paid by any of these YouTube infomercials or any of that. I'm not an AdSense advocate, or I'm not a part of anything like that. But just think it's predictive programming, even with those commercials. You're waking up because a lot of people are reporting that they're waking up tired, or they wake up, their sleep is not restful. What do they used to call it? It's the REM sleep. You're not really getting that, right? Are you really getting that? The time seems warped. I would say even the food is contributing to some level of brain fog. I happen to be a morning person. I'm most functional in the mornings. And to me, after a certain period of time, your functionality, your quality of life on every level, your bottled water tastes like trash. Your food tastes like trash. I think it also causes you to swell. And so there you go. And then they want the gas stove narrative about the asthma. We've all had the softening. They're doing soft lockdowns right now. So let's go back to our little quality check here, and then we'll move on. But as you can see, this is where you will go IQAir.com. That is the US. This is where you'll find the US World Air Quality Ranking. Okay. So that's where you are. And this is amazing, right? And China has a low. I find that interesting. China is in the moderate. Look at it. 72. Wuhan, China. New York City, number 22, 70. Shanghai, 68. Guangzhou, China, 68. Ghana, Accra, 65. I'm just looking at your yellow. Vietnam, 61. So just look. Okay, then you have Denver. Denver's coming in really pretty clear. Paris, France. So yeah. So if you're in Denver, then in Los Angeles. Hey, just saying, just something to think about, right? So that's where you might want to go. But also, I'm just saying, to me, we can't live in a bubble. You can't, even if you don't. No, do you see your armpit towel on here? No, you don't. Okay, you weren't tapped. You're not going to be tapped for the IQAir.com, US World Air. No, but I tell you what. The winds don't know whether you're in an armpit town or not. Northerly winds, westerly winds, they don't know whether you're in an armpit town or not. So you're going to be affected. Somewhere, I don't know how. We don't know the day, time, or hour, but we know it's possible. Your sinus infection could very well be it. Your Afrin. When you need to pick up that bottle and go do a couple of sniffs or squirts, that might be it. That might be all you need. Okay? It might be mistaken for your sinus problems. It might. You're lucky if you don't have that. But to me, by the time if you don't have upper respiratory problems or allergies, you're gonna have it. So yeah, you're going to have it. Okay, so Joseph Francis Berg says Los Angeles is honestly much better than it used to be. Los Angeles was really, really filthy in the 1960s. Yes, I remember the smog in LA back then. So yeah, I'm just saying, but listen, it's, to me, if this is being manufactured, it's not going to conform to, it's not to conform to patterns in the past. And that's going to keep you off the trail. I'm just saying, like, at this point, you know, the whole I can't breathe thing from the Pink Floyd situation, you know, I'm telling you, these masks are not going away. Did you notice on that? Look, let me take you back to this. You go back to your IQ Air. Let's go back to that just for a quick second here. Look what you see above it. Air quality. View our real-time 3D animated air pollution map. Air monitors. Air virtual sensors. World's smartest air monitors. Listen, friends, this is a whole economy. This is a whole new economy. This is your green economy creating jobs. IQ Air visual platforms, air purifiers. These people are going to make money. Go back to, what was it? Go back to the machines, the machines that they used back in 2020. The respirators. What was it? GE? I don't know the company. So what did you need? What were the machines that they were using if you were hospitalized? Those, look, filters, face mask, just everywhere. This is a whole new market, a whole new economy. They're creating, shout out to that point. Let me show you this. Okay, so if you go over to the good old World Economic Forum, you'll see in their marketing, in their card stock, they've already got you primed for what they want to do. Okay, so this is an annual meeting of new champions. That's going on right now too. Now, not to mention Macron that's the next piece I'm going to cover. Okay, so look at this. AMNC 2023, how businesses can create the green markets of the future. Well, there you go. I just showed you. Your green markets. What are you talking about, Black Spring? What green markets? What are your green markets going to consist of? It's going to consist of some fear porn. You know, they got to market. They're going to market air purifiers to people, right? Because they're telling you to get inside. Look at this. This is on your World Economic Forum, right? Sorry, we're closed due to climate crisis. I see the temperature check came for you. They showed you right out of Chicago. The boots on the ground said that the businesses are reporting they had fewer people in for lunch. So listen, they're creating it. All right. So there's a summit going on, okay? And I'm going to take. I just want to show you this imagery because these are the engine think engines over here, putting all this stuff together, telling you what's best for you. And look, scientists have categorized the planet across 8 Earth systems: climate, air, freshwater, and groundwater, biodiversity within natural ecosystems, and working landscapes, fertilizer, nitrogen, and phosphorus. Of the 8, human activities have pushed 7 into the risk zone. The urgent challenge for this generation is to avert a global catastrophe and create a safe and just corridor for humanity. See what? But let me go ahead and take you over to the next piece. Joseph Francis Burton says, don't forget the personal water filter and bottled water industry that started 20 years ago. Yeah, well, it doesn't taste like anything. I can't tell. I'll tell you, some of this, gross, right? So let me get you out of that. Let's get you out. Let me take you to the piece that I wanted to show you. Because this is what I wanted to talk to you about yesterday, but I'm going to show it to you now. right? Because Macron, the French president. All right, so here you are. Great reset. Macron suggests international taxation system to subsidize green agenda. Oh, don't you just love it? I told you, listen, welcome to the global citizenry, right? Welcome to it, right? Yes. Okay, let's look at it. I said, let's look in it. Not look at it, let's look in it. Okay? French President Emmanuel Macron has suggested the imposition of a global taxation system in order to subsidize the green agenda to mitigate climate change. Speaking at the Summit for a New Global Financial Pact in Paris on Friday, Mr. Macron argued that actions from individual governments would be insufficient to deal with the alleged Armageddon set to descend upon the world, and therefore a new international taxation framework should be established. Quote, I am in favor of an international taxation to finance efforts that we have to make to fight poverty and in terms of climate bracket action, end quote, the French president said in comments reported by Politico. Quote, it doesn't work when you do it alone. The financial flow goes elsewhere, end quote, Macron added, while shutting down calls for France to implement a new wealth tax to fund the green agenda. Here you go. Let's keep going. Quote, France already has in place two types of taxes that have been suggested. One on plane tickets, another on financial transactions, end quote. He said, adding that he was going to, quote, make others follow us and mobilize, end quote, around these issues. Quote, there has been a great deal of discussion on the idea of international taxation over and above what countries and institutions are doing. Whether it's on financial transactions, maritime transport, or certain other models, it will only work if it's truly international, and it presupposes an agreement, as we've been able to do on international taxation, end quote, he said. Let them eat cake, right? Blasted for jet skiing while telling public to save energy. Oh my gosh, him and Nancy Pelosi. Are they having a great time together? Are they having a great time together or not? Yet. See, look at this. This is from Breitbart London. Macron blasted for jet ski while telling public to save energy. French President Emmanuel Macron has come under fire for using a gas-guzzling jet ski while demanding citizens curtail their energy use. You see what we go through? Call us a conspiracy theorist. Welcome to the conspiracy theater. Welcome. We welcome you. We welcome you. So you remember the little ice cream stunt, right? Yeah, I'm going to pull that out. You know what? They yanked that down. I believe they yanked down. You know, for those of you who've been around here with us that have been in the family for a while, you already know. You know, this was around Easter during that particular time, where she was like, oh, look at all the flavors. Count the flavors in my fridge, friends. Okay. So yeah, she did something similar. They all do this. Obama buying beachfront property. What is it? Kerry flying around in jets. You know, they do. Where's Greta Thunberg, for crying out loud? Here we go. I'll keep going. Sorry, guys, for the diversion there. Macron suggested that the Paris-based Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, OECD, could be tapped for a negotiation process in the hopes of creating a global climate tax system for multinational corporations. The French president, who is just 1 year into his second term, has faced months of turmoil in his own country, starting in earnest last autumn amid the growing cost of living crisis in France and indeed throughout much of Europe, as a result of the lockdowns and failure of green energy to supply enough power to make up for lost Russian energy following the war in Ukraine. The protests in France, which often devolved into riots and acts of vandalism, were often attributed solely to Macron's controversial pension reforms, which raised the retirement age to 62 To 62 to 64 years old. That doesn't make sense. The retirement age should be from 62 to 64 years old. I'm not your editor here. However, this was just the final straw for the working classes in the view of the government of the former Rothschild banker. Last year, the globalist leader proclaimed and here's another one, the typo here, that the people of France are, quote, living through the end of abundance, without acknowledging his own government's role in the perpetuating policies, including the green agenda that resulted in the economic devastation. So here's Breitbart News. Here it goes. Your little clip on Twitter. The European Union's radical green agenda risks sparking widespread political unrest, as seen during the Yellow Vest movement in France, as energy prices soar through the bloc. All right, so you see that. So as you can see, do I need a crystal ball? Just tell us. I should put a poll out here. I'm just saying, this thing is loaded with landmines and mistakes. They can afford an editor, right? All right, I'm going to put the pendulum out here. I'm actually going to be playing some sound bites for you guys. Let's go now. Let's come back to the States. But I'm just saying, to that end, he's pushing it. This is all a part of the agenda, is to get this global taxation going. You're going to be paying, do we not have it yet? So here comes your economy. Here comes your green jobs, right? Here comes the businesses that are going to be created for green markets. They're probably going to start selling. There's going to be a green travel agency that's going to book people for green transportation, like airline tickets. So airline travel by air quality. Where's that? There's going to be a market for that. Okay. Because yes, you're going to be, so that means it's going to cost you more. It's going to cost you more. Airlines focus on air quality to ensure passenger safety, right? So that means your tickets are going to go up, right? Or either they're going to put more restrictions on. They're going to put more restrictions on the actual airlines, which they are in that green agenda anyway. Everybody is, they've already been told, like most of these people have green initiatives to reduce their carbon footprint. They're going to be selling plane tickets based with that type of language. Your taxes are going to be included in that. And that's actually going to take people out of the air. It's going to make it less affordable for people to fly. If you travel for business, and of course your business is going to absorb the cost on some level. Of course they are. But that means your per diem you might not be getting reimbursed for much stuff, because they may cut back somewhere else to pick up that tab or to comply with the government, the ESG, the environmental sustainability goals. So I'm just saying, but these people are mega. They're coming after everything you got. Your hair, your air quality, your food, your water. Look, we have an air IQ air. For crying out loud. Oh my gosh, it's Anarchy Television. Thank you so much for coming to Anarchy. We are talking about the businesses that are going to be created, the green businesses that are going to be created, because look at this air quality stuff. It's going to send people's businesses right. It's a soft lockdown is what you're getting right now. The conditions are in place for another lockdown. All right. You've been warned by Air Gates and all these other people, right? So yeah, but Macron's tactics are, he's not, it's not original. They all do as I say, not as I do. That's what they do on a regular. Okay. So here, let me put this pendulum out here. Joseph Francis Burton says, good grief, I hate all of that, quote, climate justice talk. By the way, airlines are logging all your flight hours in terms of tons of CO2. Gee, I wonder what will be done with that information. Wow. Very nice. Very nice. Well, of course they are. I guess they'll probably charge you. Your rates are going to be based on you're probably going to have a profile, right? So here's another People's Pendulum. It's like I said, deja vu, but I was in earlier. People's Pendulum. If you have anything that, like, what's your air quality? We've been talking about this already. If you're in an armpit town, like a lot of the, like Florida's not on there, Georgia's not on there. We've already had a tiny little look this morning. So let's have one more look here. If we have anybody that's just now joining us, you might have a look and see if you're on here. Are you on? Is your city on here? If you're in California, is anybody from California on here right now? Let's see. Let's bump that out there. So here, this is your quality index here, and they've got Detroit is 2, is ranking number 2, Chicago 3, Minneapolis number 4. So we did look at your world major cities. So as I said, welcome to global citizenship. These are the issues of the citizen, the globe. Okay. Let's see who we have. Da 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 da. Look who it's Derek C. Williams. Derek C. Williams, thank you so much for coming in. How are you?
Yeah. Shout out and respect due to Black Spring with Autumn. Intelligence done right. How are you, young lady?
Derek, I'm trying to be as productive as I can. I mean, can you how's the air quality in your area? How are you? How are you first? How are you?
Well, me, I'm living my life day by day like Rambo. That's how I live. You might remember a few weeks ago, in the northeastern section of the country, we had some smoke that emanated from Canada, and they claimed that was precipitated by fires. But at least from what I look into, generally speaking, these fires are made by humans. I've heard other schools of thought saying there was a directed energy weapon that actually burnt up some of the dry bush in Canada, which precipitated all this smoke. And so I never heard blacks in Philadelphia talk about air quality, because if I ask people about, have you ever saw any lines in the sky that crisscross and go to the horizon? People say, well, huh? And I said, well, look up on a clear morning, and usually 2 or 3 weeks later, say, Derek, you know what? I saw these lines, man, and they just stayed there. I said, that's geoengineering. That's kind of terraforming and stuff like that. But anyway, all this stuff is to, try to, lessen your quality of life. Maurice Strong, who is a dead man now, and I'm glad, back in 91, I think it was, they had a Rio summit. Well, I'm sorry, 1992, but it's this book called the Final Global Revolution. And they were saying that food shortages, water shortages, climate change, and things like that, if we can get people on board with these things and scare the hell out of them, they would actually do what they did with the coronavirus vaccine. They would actually, we can actually make them want to lock us down. But at any rate, at the tail end of this quote was what I've said forever. The real enemy then is humanity itself. And that's what these people, all these people, these so-called elites who want to save the planet, Gaia, Mother Earth, and all that old bullshit. This is what they're doing. So it really comes down to an informed populace at the end of the day. I saw a man on the street interview about maybe 4 months ago, and they were asking people in New York would they forego air conditioning to save the planet. Barack Obama when he was in office, he went to Africa and told them don't use air conditioners because we need to save the planet. But you have Bill Gates, Leonardo DiCaprio, and all these big wigs and these big, these big jets, and they're polluting the planet. But see, they can do it and you can't. Us mere mortals, we're supposed to eat bugs, take shots, and just die like that. Don't have no more kids. Don't do nothing. In my case, I can't drink my beer. I can't do nothing. Just go to work and die. That's it. So that's all I see with that. But there's just a big, as Van Jones would say, this is a big nothing burger. But if you scare people enough, if you scare them, it does become real to them, So that's pretty much all I see with it. This IPCC, this International Panel on Climate Change. You talking about fact checking and debunk? They have no credibility. I would suggest anybody who watches this video in the future, you may want to go to Climate Depot. This guy named Mark Morano, ain't nobody fucking with him, Black Spring. He cuts them into this. You do have climate change, and it's called the seasons. It changes 4 times a year.
Yeah.
Man has no NASA a few years back admitted that it's the tilt of the sun that does all this. Man ain't got nothing. You can use as much deodorant as you want. Back in the 1970s, they was telling us, because we was using Dial spray on deodorant, that was causing a hole in the ozone layer, and I believed. And then you move up to the pretty much present day. I saw An Inconvenient Truth with Al Gore, and I believed, well, I know better now. I used to listen to this guy. He was a Los Angeles police detective named Mike Rupert. He had a website called From the Wilderness, and he used to always push this theory of peak oil. I believed, well, no, it ain't like that. We have everything we need on this planet and more. It's just that we're using it, and we're taking it from people like Bill Gates, Sean Parker, people that you don't hear about, Eric Schmidt and all these elites, so that's the real problem. So it's just the fact that we're taking what they feel is theirs and it's not ours. So that's the whole story. So I'm getting ready to get out of here and go work for the man. And I'll just thank you for having me on your platform, man.
Well, Derek, as always, I really appreciate you for coming in to the platform, and I would like to set up something to have you back on. To me, I really want to, I think Chicago and the Midwest is a hotbed right now, and it just seems like something big is going to emerge from one of these places.
Of course. Look, Black Spring, this country is ready to tear. It's in our nature to destroy ourselves, like the Terminator told a young John Connor. So I don't doubt what you say. Of course.
I appreciate it. So I will stay in touch with you, because I don't have a lot. There's a good 3 to 4 people I'd like to have on, and we could pick. I'd say let's pick from 2 to 3 topics to go at, and just bring yourself, bring yourself to the table. I mean, because I was telling you, as I mentioned this earlier, I do believe that, that there's going to be consequence to this. There's certain things we can get away from, certain things they can't put in our brains, but when they start affecting the air quality, we can't escape that 100%.
Okay. Well, all things being equal, I would say this to anybody, because I said it to some people that I work with, but see, they not up on this stuff. What does it matter, the air quality, when they are spraying the skies? So what you're saying? Okay, you got some. Okay, we've had smog forever. I'm in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I'm in an industrial center, Los Angeles, Chicago, Detroit. Any of these former powers in our country, the air quality has never been good. But since that time, they at least going back to 95, they've been spraying the sky, so your air quality is squat anyway. So does it really matter? But
No.
Now that people are talking about, but see, a lot of people do not know about chemtrails, or at least they just don't know. So when I hear people that they talk about air quality, are you funny? You just don't know no better. Does it really matter when the waters have mercury all in it? The soil is messed up with biosludge. Pretty much every waterway on Earth is contaminated. Everywhere you look, you can't go anywhere where it's not clean air. You out there in California, I think Lake Shasta is out there. It's this dude named Dane Wigington. You can't fuck with him. This dude is smart. They talk about this stuff all the time. So like when you tell me about the air quality, what are you really saying? It's already screwed. Game over. Check and mate. It don't matter. So the best you can do is try to mitigate stuff that comes along with, as far as your own physical body. That's all you got. That's really all you got. It's been contaminated. You got nothing. Your water, even like I try to drink. What good is drinking bottled water if the plastic container contains bisphenol A, a known endocrine disruptor? So they got you coming and going. And so when you realize stuff like that, Black Spring, I can't tell you, man. There'd be times in here, man, I just be crying because ain't shit you can do, man. The best you can do is try to mitigate it as best you can. That's all you got, man. That's all you got.
Well, that's very true, Derek. Well, I mean, like just like I was in the city just like maybe 45 minutes away, and I was coughing a lot this weekend. And then I come away from it, and then the cough goes away. But then somebody else called me from that same city like 2 days later, and he's complaining about he's coughing. And you know, you hear people talking about their allergies and sinuses. I'm telling you, it's been going on for a long time, but it just seems like
Yes, man.
it's a little bit worse. It's just getting
It's
a
been
little
put
bit
in
worse.
It's been put in hyperdrive. Yes, ma'am. I would agree with that. They just got us coming and going. And like I said, in my estimation, I'm not no doctor, scientist, biologist, none of that. I'm just some guy from Mississippi that read a lot. And from what I read, the best you can do is try to mitigate what comes along from time to time. But the fact that we all have to breathe the air, the fact that they have fluoride in the water, even if you use Dr. Bronner's toothpaste like I do, you still are bathing in it if you go outside and rain. I mean, the water's fluoridated is what I'm saying. So they got you coming and going. You can have the best water filters as you like, but again, that's pretty much all you can do. This stuff is ubiquitous. Good luck. Good luck. So I'm gonna step off, young lady, and thank you for having me on your platform, man. All right.
You're so welcome, Derek C. Williams. And ladies and gentlemen, please follow Derek C. Williams and put your plugs in anytime. Also, Derek C. Williams, because I'm trying to, we need it. We need to stay around as long as we can because it's getting to be too much not to
Yeah.
speak up. Again,
All
it's
right.
getting hot.
Well, last point, and I promise I'll drop down. I
No,
will
you're
let.
fine.
The far as the plugs you'll have to do because this is my fourth channel and you did not make me a moderator,
Oh
so
no.
you
Let
can't
me
do
do it.
that. So I'll let you
Let
handle
me
it.
fix it.
And
How did I forget that?
the next time you go live and I'm on, then I'll do it. But
Okay.
I do thank you for your support, man. All right.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll get that squared away right away. All right. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams.
Yes, ma'am. You take care of yourself. Salute to your chat.
You too. Bye bye.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, Derek C. Williams was with us just now, and I get over to his channel. I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you, YouTube has really just. It's like it's hard. It's harder to keep up, but like I said, I've got to get back into. I got to go back into the it's like kind of going back to the beginning and putting people where you need them to be because there's so much work going on behind the scenes and you just have to keep up. So yes, moderators, that's something that I've needed to update for a while. And I'll take care of that for you, Derek C. Williams. Don't you worry about that. Anyone else? I don't know if we have any. I'm not really worried about detractors or anything like that. I just definitely want, people that I support, that I have supported, to be supported and to be in an environment where they know. So I will put Derek C. Williams's, let me do that right now. As a matter of fact, while I do that, there's something I've been itching to play for a while. And see, here again, I'm talking about Chicago and all this stuff. I've been itching to play. Now, and this girl, I'm not affiliated with her by any stretch, but I think she's kind of a natural comedian. I think maybe she's doing a debut on comedy, but she has had some words for Chicago. And I would like to play a clip from that, but let's do a tiny little break and I'll come right back. So don't you worry about it. I will work on, moderator. I tell you, that seems like such a relic because they kind of stripped us down so bad we forget about those kinds of details. But I'll go in there. All right, so let's do a quick little commercial and come right back. guys. So I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. And there is a pendulum out there. And if you're just tuning in, that was Derek C. Williams. If you don't know Derek C. Williams, you need to. I don't know what you're doing. Perhaps you're new to the channel, but Derek C. Williams is definitely he keeps his armor on, and he has definitely been, he's been in for a long time, and I really appreciate Derek C. Williams, and I appreciate, all that he does. I mean, I support his channel. I've supported his channel for a long time, and I can only. That's what I'm going to continue to do, no matter what the censorship levels are. That's what you can expect. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be putting a link in for Derek C. Williams, and I'm also going to be making the adjustments as I need to. I'm going to be making adjustments as I need to in terms of moderators. So I appreciate everybody so much for coming in. So let's do that, and then Derek, I'll take care of that for you. I'm sorry, I can't believe I forgot about that. That's the way I take care of it, or that I should have done it already. So here you go. So here we go. Get over there. Should have been over there anyway. So I posted. Derek's link is in the description box. So that's another thing, not the description box, but it's in the chat right now. So I'll have to make sure I start adding these kinds of. I'll start adding these kinds of plugs at the beginning. It's just we'll just call it. It's not just a loyalty, but it's just a quality, high quality people that are very prolific and that have got experience. I want to make sure we push those people out, push those support. We want to make sure we support those content creators and keep them on the forefront, because this is a battle we're in, folks. This is a battle. I've received strikes. Many people received warnings or strikes, or some of us are either on our second channels or third channels by now. And I'm about to add another channel, is what I'm about to do. It might be 2 more channels. But definitely Derek C. Williams has been posted in the actual link in the actual chat right now. So yeah, but I had to also remember that you could even, I had forgotten to do it, or how to do it, because it's been so long. There was a point in which, we were all trying to thrive. And there was a point where we were thriving, and we just kind of fall off the, I forgot that I could do that, or that's an option, or, so I will do as much as I can. I'll try to update that as well. So for those of you that are around, you'll be fine. But I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in, and let me know if you're interested in being a moderator and you're not. Let me know. Right now I'm showing, I need to update some things as well on the channel, but I have, just for an update, I am not in the Southern California area anymore. I'm not, just FYI. So I have reestablished, I have another studio, another stationary studio. I'm in that studio right now, and I've gone live from it a few times, but at some point I'll bring back some of those bells and whistles. But then I'm going to be bringing back in just a stationary screening and some lighting in the back. That's what our stationary screening is going to be. And that's what you'll be able to, a little bit less on the green screens, but I'm going to be working on, like, if I bring you out right now, you can't really see, kind of crazy. The lighting is not the best right now in here, because I don't have everything completely set up, but I'm going to be fixing it up. So, but I'm working on it. Believe me, I'm really working on it. Okay. So I will be going in and working on this. I hope you guys are doing well out there, but yes, just wanted you to see. So let's just go ahead and look at some issues. Megan McGlover is who I was talking about, out of Chicago. So let's look at, it looks like I saw some minor shout out to the Lockhart Perspective. You guys need to get over there. I need to add just about everybody. The class of 2019 would include Derek C. Williams as well as the Lockhart Perspective. Oh my gosh, what a deal. What a time, right? Let's see, but I gotta make sure I have everybody. Make sure everybody's everybody has the leverage and the power that they need to thrive and and to do what they want to do what they need to do in here. So I'll be working on it. If you need to email me, email me. If you have a story, send it to my email address. Okay, do that. So also, I want to have a look at drought hits the Midwest, threatening crops and the world's food supply. So yeah, you guys email me anything that you have, thoughts that you have. So let's have a look at this. We've been talking about air quality. Now let's talk about food. How about it? Let's talk about the threats. We've been talking about it for a while, but here we go. This is coming from the Missouri Independent. Drought hits the Midwest, threatening crops and the world's food supply. Missouri among worst hit as lack of rain also limits transportation on Mississippi River along the state's eastern border. This makes me think about Huckleberry Finn or Tom Sawyer. Okay, so as you can see here, you have a tractor, some cornfields, corn grown at a farm in Belvidere. Okay, let's look at this. City leaders in Storm Lake, a rural community of 11,000 in northwest Iowa, are asking residents not to wash their cars or water their yards and gardens during the hottest part of the day. The city also has cut back on watering public recreational spaces such as ball fields and golf courses. These are highly unusual steps in a state that is normally flush with water and even prone to flooding. But the rain in Iowa, along with the crest of the Corn Belt states of the Midwest, has been mysteriously absent this spring, plunging the region into drought. See, here it comes. That Midwest region is hot. I'm telling you, it's not only hot for these. It's hot for a lot of reasons. I'm going to keep going. Sorry. The Corn Belt states of the Midwest has been mysteriously absent this spring, plunging the region into drought. Quote, it's something new that residents have never had to really deal with before, end quote, said Carrie Navratil, the city manager of Storm Lake. As California and much of the Western United States ease out of drought conditions after a spectacularly wet winter, the Midwest has fallen victim to dry, hot spell that could have devastating consequences for the world's food supply. Quote, America's breadbasket, end quote, the vast corn, soy, and wheat fields that extend from the Great Plains to Ohio hasn't had enough rain to sustain crop growth, which fuels a major part of the region's economy, including food, animal feed, and ethanol production. The region last suffered a substantial drought in 2012 and before that in 1988. Though experts have not tied this event to climate change directly, scientists have warned that climate change will lead to more summer droughts for the Midwest in the years to come. The next 7 years, right? An unusually dry spring and summer-like heat have stunted crops, forced water conservation measures, and lowered levels in major waterways, which could prevent barges from transporting goods downstream. Missouri Republican Governor Mike Parson has declared a drought alert to assist counties hurt by these dry conditions. City leaders in Oak Forest, Illinois, Wentzville, Missouri, and Lincoln, Nebraska have called on residents to limit their water usage. The region's drought conditions are both unusual and concerning, said Dennis Toddy, the director of the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Midwest Climate Hub, which provides scientific analysis to the region's agricultural and natural resource managers. This is the fourth year in a row of significant drought for much of the Midwest and Great Plains, he said. Quote, we're reaching a point where we absolutely need to start getting rainfall over the main core of the Midwest, end quote, he said. Quote, we're reaching a very concerning time here, end quote. This dry spell should not be happening, he added, especially with the return of El Nino, a cyclical weather event in which surface water temperatures in the eastern tropical Pacific Ocean rise, causing wetter and warmer global weather. The Midwest is not getting that moisture. Instead, a high-pressure system, which usually means sunny, calm weather, has parked itself above the region, preventing the precipitation needed for healthy crops and fully flowing waterways such as the Mississippi River. The frequent storms that are typical during the spring, fueled by moisture in the Gulf of Mexico, did not happen. Okay, so you have a big quote here in the center feature. It says the majority of Iowa corn and soybean production is all rain fed. And right now we just don't have any. So that's quoted from Mark Licht of Iowa State University, associate professor and cropping systems specialist. Though weird, quote, weird, end quote, this weather pattern is not being connected to climate change, said Trent Ford, the Illinois state climatologist who collects and analyzes the state's climate data. It's just extremely dry, he said. That's why I said it's weird. It is sort of this random weather pattern that's established and has just really either persisted or, I suppose, evolved in a way to keep this part of the country very, very dry. Part of Illinois have received only around 5% of normal rainfall this month, he added. Several places in the state should have 10 more inches of precipitation than they've gotten since April. Cities in the Chicago area are having their driest periods since 1936. Major rivers in the state, such as the Illinois Kankakee, are at record lows for this time of the year. Nearly 60% of the Midwest, which includes Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Missouri, Ohio, Wisconsin, is under moderate drought, according to U.S. Drought Monitor, which is run jointly by the federal government and the National Drought Mitigation Center at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. Nearly 93% of the region is abnormally dry, with around 60% of it suffering severe drought. In the Great Plains states of Kansas and Nebraska, the situation is far worse. A quarter of Nebraska and 30% of Kansas are under extreme drought. More than a tenth of Nebraska and 8% of Kansas are in exceptional drought, the monitor's most severe stage. The Great Plains has had drought conditions for more than a year, though it has received some rain in recent weeks. The region's drought couldn't come at a worse time from an agricultural point of view, said Brad Rippey, a U.S. Department of Agricultural meteorologist and author of the U.S. Drought Monitor report. While the area conditions are concerning, he said, there's still time for the region to rebound. Quote, it's still very young in the year. If you look at drought intensity, it's not high yet, end quote, he said. Quote, obviously, if it doesn't rain over the next few weeks, that's going to change. We're really watching how this develops. These dry conditions have led to topsoil and subsoil moisture depletion, meaning less water in the ground to support planting and growing crops. Additionally, drier conditions have meant a vast browning of grass and pasture lands, forcing farmers to buy more feed instead of relying on grazing. This is a critical time for farmers as they approach the reproductive stage of crop development, when corn starts to silk and soybeans begin to bloom. Mark Licht, an associate professor and cropping systems specialist at Iowa State University, recently walked the fields of a farm in northeast Iowa that planted its soybeans after the early spring rains. Those soybeans didn't have the moisture to germinate and emerge, he said, which has become a common problem throughout the state. The state hasn't had good rain since early May. What rain the state has gotten has been, quote, spotty and patchy, end quote, not providing enough precipitation to sustain the crops, he said. Soybean and corn plants are shorter than expected, with not enough canopy growth to protect the soil from weeds and sustain sunlight, which are harmful to crop development. There's still some time for crops to rebound if the rain comes back, but if it doesn't rain, by the time the Iowa corn crop starts pollinating in a few weeks, its corn will have fewer kernels, which will raise prices for cattle owners who might have to look for alternative feed sources. Quote, we're in a situation where we essentially need very timely rains to be able to get this crop through, Licht said. Quote, the majority of Iowa corn and soybean production is all rain-fed, and right now we just don't have any. Recent rains in Kansas and Nebraska have helped the wheat crop in those states, said Justin Gilpin, the CEO of Kansas Wheat, a wheat grower advocacy group. But for other parts of the wheat-growing Great Plains states, it wasn't enough. Quote, for a big portion of Kansas, and quote, he added in an email to State Line, quote, the drought improvement and rains are a little too late to have helped the wheat crop, end quote. Okay, so this article was initially published in the state, published by State Line, a part of the state's newsroom. So here you go. Your corn, your soybean, your wheat. See, I said I've been this Midwest is absolutely it's like that's your main vein, your main artery, for the lack of a better word or lack of a better phrase. But I said this, all these conditions are, what was it? What magazine? Was it Time magazine last year that had wheat on the front of it, but the things on the inside were dead skulls? Does anybody have that cover of that magazine? Let's see. It was Mr. Pearson that covered that several months ago. Time magazine with the wheat cover. Let's see if I can find it. So it was a food, was like starvation and pestilence cover. Was the kind of the topic on it. Food shortage. Let's see if I can find it. I think it popped right up. Oh yeah. Let me show it to you. It was The Economist. Very, very wicked right here. Let me show you. Let me show ya. How are you guys doing out there? I don't see very much activity in the stream, but in the actual chat, but that's okay. Let's have a look here. Hopefully you guys are in a position where you can see what I'm about to show you. But this was from The Economist now. And I don't think I picked it up off of the stand. I don't even know if it was in my area because I would have loved to have had a copy of it. But let me show you. This came out. It was wheat. Okay, so I'm going to click on it right now. The Economist, the coming food catastrophe. All right, so I'm just waiting for it to load up here. Here it is. Look at that. Look, it was just over a year ago. This gave you the warning. It was May. Leaders, war and farming, the coming food catastrophe. War is tipping a fragile world towards mass hunger. Fixing that is everyone's business. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this depleted wheat plant. Look at it. But look what they used. Look what they used to illustrate, to fill it in. Hang on a second. I'm not getting full scale here. Okay, you guys see it? Okay, actually, let me visit the page and then let me reset. So you can see this. I want you to see this imagery here. This is how you get pre-programmed and you get the pre-warnings. That's if you have the eyes to hear and the eyes to see and the ears to hear, right? Okay, so here it comes. You see the coming food catastrophe right here? Look at this imagery. Look at it. No, look in it. I like that. Shout out to Mr. Pearson. Don't look at it. Look in it. Do you see that? You see that imagery? Look at the wheat. That's exactly what I just described to you. I just described to you this imagery. This was a foreboding, a forewarning, right? Do you see it? If you're out there, give us a show us a sign, give us a pulse, give us a sign that you have a pulse. Let's see. All right, so we still got more poor air quality stuff coming up. So this stuff is to watch. One to watch. Shout out to everybody that stepped up this morning. Shout out to Uncool Paranoia coming in hot on my first part 1, and shout out to Derek C. Williams. And also, I'm going to be taking care of these things. So let's see. Look at it. Look at the imagery that they've given you. They're showing you. Okay, so this is what I've just described to you. Now this goes back to the blue crane stuff. Okay, but I did a lot of coverage last year, over a year ago, regarding the crops and the food. So let's see. I don't know if this is going to it may not let me get it because I'm not subscribed to the Economist, but I think this imagery is pivotal. I think this imagery is very, very telling. One of the people in the Nebraska, the Illinois area, have you seen this? This would be a great segment for that. Let me see if I can do something with that. But yes, you can see you've been programmed. You've been given the forecast. I'm going to save this image. I'm going to save it. It's a skull and wheat skull. It was not kernels. Like, who's familiar with wheat around here? Because there's no, there's no wheat on it. It's been filled in. What is it? The wheat hairs, or there? Am I saying? Does that sound a little bit too crazy? The wheat hairs. Let's see. That's the Economist cover. Yeah, I'm gonna save that. But that's pretty foreboding, I would think, right? Pretty you've been warned. For many of us. For many of us. We don't, it's not my fear news is not what I'm here to do. But look, the material, the content is there. I don't have to make it up. I just think it's a duty of, to report it. So let me just thank everybody that came in earlier. So let me go ahead and get off of here because we've done about a little over 2 hours this morning, over 2 hours without a doubt. First segment was at 50 something minutes, 55 minutes plus. Thank you so much, Joseph Francis Burton, for coming in. And thank you so much, Anarchy Television. And if anybody's going on, if anybody's going on live, let me know. Let me know. If you're going on live within the next few minutes, if the next few hours, the next several hours, let me know so I can share it out. That's what I'm talking about. We can water each other's gardens, our presence is necessary. It's important. Okay. That's important that we keep going here. Derek C. Williams, thank you so much for coming on. And thanks to the collective viewers that I had, between both, it's, sometimes it's encouraging to have you guys come out and to know that you have the ears to hear, to listen. Okay. All right. So yeah, so keep it. But when I say air quality, I'm saying the part that if any type of ashes and soot is affecting you, then you will be, unfortunately, you will have to put on something. I don't know if you have pre-existing conditions, you're going to want to do what's best for you, because I wouldn't rely on these agencies to give you that. You can't be the health agencies, that community, I think, is pretty much toast. All right, guys. So I appreciate you guys so much. We'll keep an eye on these things. These will be one to watch. And stay tuned. All right, guys. Let's see. Let's do another shout out. Let's do another shout out to our friends over on Twitch and Rumble. And then we're going to get out of here. Okay, guys? Thank you so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Okay, so just really quickly, I know I said I was going to show something from Megan McGlover, but to me, it's entertaining, but it's also very insightful. I didn't do it, but I'm going to do it. If I don't do it right now, then I won't do it, because the story is, the news cycles are so fast. Let me just do it. Now, this is Megan McGlover. She's another content creator. I have to take people in small dosages these days since 2020. I look for informative entertainment is what I do. So let's have a look at her perspective on the situation we're switching gears just for a second. Let's just get her perspective on, this was her perspective on what's happening over in Chicago in terms of the reparations. I talked about that, but today I want you to have a look at this. Let's see. Is it still up? Yes. Okay. Let's get this going. Hold on. It's a lot of stories that came out around that particular time. So this is Megan's channel, and I'm going to make sure that I get you to, it's a little bit time. Some time has gone by. So what are they about? 6 weeks or so into this? Okay, so here we go.
Inside South Shore International College Prep,
Excuse me, the question was asked.
hundreds of residents gathered to hear from city leaders on a plan to move migrants to the old South Shore High School. Members of Mayor Lightfoot's administration were supposed to give a presentation, but were interrupted by angry outbursts. And decided to move directly to residents' questions. One being how many asylum seekers would be housed here.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't feel no ways tired about that shit going on in Chicago and all the rest of you towns, because I already told you. I told you specifically what was going to happen. I told you you had one opportunity. Has your president called you at all? Has your president called you to talk to you about reparations and all this other stuff that he told you he was going to talk to y'all about? Has he called you at all? Or has he just imported a whole bunch of people to take your place? Which is exactly what I told you was going to happen. I told you specifically. I said, listen, you black people are people of influence. I said, this is not the time for you to get all wrapped up in your emotions. I told you specifically that racism was not your biggest problem. That's what I told you. But now you got people living in your high school gyms and shit. Oh, it's happening right now. When you're walking down the street and people
all these resources that have not come to us, now you want to overly compensate for people who never lived here before.
Why would any leader put our black communities already riddled with crime at further risk by placing unvetted non-taxpayers steps away from our seniors, our children, and our homes we've worked so hard on our own to secure?
I did get placed on a wait list, but I was told that the immigrants were taking priority.
Many of these migrants have been dumped in our neighborhoods without a plan in place to monitor and house them long term.
I'm not selling nothing, and I keep telling people, you don't have to move. If you sell, they gonna come in.
When people is walking around raping, pillaging, and killing and shit all up and down the streets in your town, please don't call me and don't say my name. Because I told you in layman's terms. I even started speaking Spanish on you hoes. I told you in different languages. I cried sometimes when I was telling you. I yelled at you. Sometimes I told you I loved you. I cooked food for you and sat here and ate it in front of you so we can have a little bit of private time. I did all kind of shit to try to get you to understand that this was what was getting ready to happen. Now, do you have any questions about the last election? Do you have any questions at all? Do you have any questions at all? Or do you really, this is what I keep trying to tell y'all. It's okay for you to disagree, but when you start being stupid, and when you start being all... I told y'all that your biggest concerns were getting your neighborhoods together. That's what I told you. I said, listen, let me tell you something. You don't want people coming up into your neighborhoods doing whatever it is that they want to do, filth on filth, and taking your houses because you don't pay your taxes and whatever, this and that and the third. Did you listen? No. And let me help you, Ho. You can't even use racism at this point because... Be quiet, Badu. You can't even use racism at this point because they bring illegal immigrants even from Africa. They bring people from Somalia, people that look just like you and your cousin look at you. Okay? This is what's happening. You can't even claim racism, boy. I told you this was going to happen. I told you specifically. Anyways, I don't know what to tell you now because I don't have, the only thing I can tell you is Jesus saves. From the how's the song go to him? Wait, hold on. Badu, quiet. And listen, even Badu is sick of your shit. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you people something. I told you not to be emotional. I told you that this was not the time for you to be running around there crying and yelling and screaming and being immature and all this other kind of shit. I told you this was spiritual warfare. Did I not tell you that? I told you that, didn't I? Okay. I told you all of these things. Now you run around here talking about they coming into your communities. Well, of course they're coming into your communities. The communities that your grandmother and your great-grandmother and your granddaddy and all the rest of them worked so hard for just to try to help the next generation. This and the other. These people, the most racist thing that is happening to you is actually happening to you by people that you put in office that look just like you. The most racist thing, that is happening to you right now is happening to you by people that you put in office.
Inside.
All right, so you can see there, you're getting shout out to Independent Men United. Thank you so much for coming. I've been wanting to play that clip for so long, and I just think, I've got time right now. As they say, I've got time today. I said, why not? Because you see all these people out here. I want to make a point here. I go from one thing. I go from air quality to food source to reparations. That's what a medley, right? Okay, so my issue is that, and I have to challenge the baby boomers and the effects of their civil rights movement, and I just see that the same kind of trend is going on. When you're talking about Chicago, and see, every time they get somebody that stands up before them as a leader, that person seems to they're doing the same format. You're in the 21st century using a baby boomer's tactic. You're using baby boomer tactics. Here, let me take her down for a second here. That to me, it's gold standard commentary on that, and it's entertaining, quite entertaining at the same time. Not that I'm laughing at those people, but you have to think about, you can't pledge allegiance to a color, and you can't attach. You cannot. It's not fruitful. Your flesh means nothing. It's perishable. Not non-perishable. It's a perishable. It's funky flesh. It means nothing. Okay? You can't put your brain. You can't share a brain. I don't share a brain with anybody. Especially if you need to get a brain that works. If you're going to share one, you need to get one that works. Share one that works, that is a thinker. Okay? All right, so let me keep going. I'm sorry about that. But what I'm saying is this whole culture of I got to vote for somebody that looks like me. Oh, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do that. Those people it's the same thing the same to me. The civil rights type of platform, get somebody to stand up in front of us and have them talk or represent. Every representative that you have that comes out of these conversations about these immigrants / illegals, they do the same thing. They all come on, even the lawyer that was representing them. I actually watched some of that coverage where they actually had speakers. They have representation, but every single one of them get up there and they say, "Oh, but it's not an immigration. We're not anti-immigrant." But why do you even need to say that? Why don't you just deal with the issue at hand? The lawyer that they hired to represent the Chicagoans, do I think anything's going to come out of it? No, it's not. There's nothing that's going to come out of it. They've got 2 or 3 black people standing up there in front of them as if that is going to, I'm saying they're using the same, this whole, what is it? Dare I say, shout out to Mr. Pearson. He could probably educate me on this. That whole Rainbow Push Coalition, you got the same formats being used. They use the same strategies to allegedly address what's going on in the quote black community or African American community. And it's not only is it not effective, but it has not been fruitful. I say, to me, the civil rights movement has equated to it. Today it's a big umbrella is what it is. Okay, what has it yielded? I've said this many times, even just in commentary. Street names, museums, holidays, and what else? Street names, holidays, statues. Street names, statues, holidays, and museums. That is what, and some things on the books that every time some issue that's actually related to people that happen to be black or whatever you want to call yourself, or African American, you're looked over. They're looking over you. You are not the main supply. You are not the main supply right now. You are back burner supply. that's this whole narcissism culture is very much true to the way the politicians handle people in this country. It's like they pimp you out and then they throw you back. Like it's a whore harem, a harem garage. The people that know your pain. All right. Whether you're talking about gender issues, whether it's what it means to be a hero, they define all of that for you so that they can bump you up, bump you down, make you primary, make you secondary, make you tertiary, make you quaternary, make you supplies, and they just keep rotating you out and keep pimping you out by your pain. Sometimes they use their pain to manipulate you, but they know you by your pain. And they know it, I'm telling you, it is cyclical. It is not going away. But I just say, my thing is that the format of standing out and addressing, having press conferences or getting out in front of the public and getting some airtime with somebody standing up in front of you, representing you, but they also come with the shellac, with a covering. Those people stand up there in front of you and make sure that they make sure that they are in line with the real agenda. Oh, well, it's not about, it's a humanitarian crisis. And, oh, Black people, we help people. That's what we do. That's what we do. But when are you going to help us? See, what leader has ever, I'm just telling you, what has this leadership ever really helped to do? Did it bring awareness? Yes. But in the long run, we shall overcome is not even unique to the United States. These tactics were used in other countries, in like Algeria. Some of these other countries had the same. If you just look at, there's a whole series on it. But I'm telling you, this style, the South Shore neighbors and all these people that are suing Chicago for opening temporary migrant shelters and all this stuff, nothing's gonna come of that, because you're the lawyer that you hired. You got the same format. If I show you this imagery here, let me do it. It's the Block Club Chicago.org. I'm going to open that up and share that with you. You see it's the same kind of tactics, right? They appoint a spokeswoman, and not like not an acting individual, but then they do these rally pulpit approaches. The rally pulpit approaches are ineffective, and of course, it leaves the door open for manipulation. Like all these task forces, these reparation task force, that's not going anywhere either. Now, to me, I think they should be close to the 6-week mark in California for that task force. Like I said, to me, those are like administrators. So you better believe those people, the task force is getting paid something for what they're doing. Okay, they got to keep hope alive, so they got to pay them something. And then, of course, if you get reparations, do you think that those people that are on the task force aren't going to take a fee? With the settlement, it's probably going to be more than yours. See, this is what it's at. They treat it like it's an estate. All right, not even an estate sale, like an estate that they tapped them to oversee. Okay, all right, and then so let me get back to, I digress here. So yeah, so these rally pulpit approaches are ineffective, and it leaves the door open for manipulation. Okay, relying on another person. See, the common denominator that I find, even throughout history, you go back to the Sojourner Truth and all these people that were twined with the feminist movement and abolition, and all that stuff was twined. That stuff was twined with something else. You had to be linked to something else just to get that platform, even back then. If you're a free person, a free slave, you still needed to be linked with some level of Marxism in order to get the platform. So they started mining. They've been mining your pain for hundreds of years, for centuries. All right. But then when you go into the current times, they are complaining, but saying, you got this woman that's standing before these people. As soon as I get this pulled up, I'll show you. So the blockchicago.org. Okay, the first thing they say, they complain, but then they say they are for immigration and they're for humanitarianism. It and then there's, they mention, they don't mention anything about federal or accountability or for the leaders on their level to do anything about this. They keep welcoming and being led by progressivism, and that's not going anywhere. You can be the leader as long as you're entwined with the real agenda. As long as you shellac it with that, you already know it's not going anywhere. It's going to be DOA. So the Block Club Chicago is what I wanted to show you. Block Club Chicago. .org. But yes, I saw that the interviews are online. And it's hard to watch these things. It's really sad. Okay, so that is an actual the blockclubchicago.com is another organization. And of course, they're talking about air quality right now and telling you how to protect yourself. But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you because, like, to me, these old school style rants about what's happening in the Black communities, and you get a one or two Black people up there before you, and then you hire a lawyer, and then nothing changes. I'm just saying, somebody really needs to get a clue. It's not it's something that you're doing the same stuff since the 50s, and you think you're going to get a different result. I see most people don't realize that the civil rights movement was infiltrated. In order for you to get that airtime and for you to get those people marching around, who do you think had that kind of money to even sponsor that? A bunch of liberals, progressives. You had to lock in with them just to even get the airtime, to get, like, the March on Washington. Where did the money from that come from? And all the picket signs. I'm telling you guys, you better recognize the game. Who paid for all of that? How'd you get the coverage? How'd you get all those picket signs and all those people organized? See, that's the thing. Organized civic disobedience there's a price that comes with that. Not just what you see. People focus on what they see on the surface, but all the interworkings in the background, they don't ask those kinds of questions. And when you ask people I would love to ask somebody from that time, like, where'd you guys get the money for all those marches and stuff? Do I think Dr. King's church had the kind of money to do those kinds of marches and have all those people with those picket signs? No, I don't. It wasn't the people from the church, from the Ebenezer Baptist Church that were doing that. Listen, you can't convince me of that. You can't. And sadly enough, I can't even ask anybody from the South, central southern states of Alabama to what the hell what was going on back then? Who was sponsoring all this stuff? And you wonder why the movement it fizzled. It was DOA before it even started. How? Who did you twine yourself with? I'm just saying. It's irritating. But I just had to show you guys that clip. I just had to show it to you. And I think I've actually managed to save some of those. I did save some of those videos, some of those actual town hall meetings or whatever. And you see the people resisting, but you don't see them. It's not effective. It's not effective to keep having people represent you, even if they look like you. I don't care what they say they came in the name of, the task force. I don't care. It's not effective. It has not been effective. In fact, Waters is probably back in the news. So I've gone on a couple of different pieces today, but I could not resist not playing that one anymore. It was not only informative, but it was entertaining. And you can't turn that down. You can't turn that down. So I appreciate you guys so much. Like I said, if I could find, I know what I'm looking at. I know what I'm looking for, and I know I have it. I know I have saved. I have saved some videos because they were that good. I've saved some videos. I have actually saved some videos, but I don't, like I said, I don't want to go through them right now. I'll have to go through it later, but I just thought it would be helpful if you might see where I'm coming from. You might find these, and I want to do them just to let you guys get some time in to see where I'm coming from, see where the outrage comes from. Okay, so Derek C. Williams, I just took care of you. Should be taken care of right now. Anybody else that has moderator concerns or issues, let me know. But yes, let me just find. I could just find as soon as I find the video, I'm going to play some of it. It's some of the town hall meetings are very insightful, and to me, they're asking the wrong questions. If you ask somebody about why would you say, well, they've been dumped in our neighborhoods without a plan? Okay, but to me, that's a conditional. You're creating a condition for them to be there in the first place. What are you, a damn hotel? That's the question. I'm just asking. Why would you why would you say, oh, well, they could come if they had a plan in place? No. It's still not, and that's how you know you're not being represented. Your representation is not in your best interest. That's how you know. That's exactly how you know. So just saying, just put a little food for thought out there. I don't know what you guys think about it. But let me see if I can find, I'm going to have it here any second now. It's just a little bit to sift through because I watch a lot of videos, but this probably goes back to May. I think it was around May. So it was more than 3 weeks ago. And when I pull it up here. So yeah, there was a lot of blown opportunity in the civil rights movement. It's more than blown. It was freaking infiltrated. And it's still being infiltrated. And everybody that tries to lead comes in with that same, brings that same format, brings that same thing to the table. No, not much different. Just a different person standing up there, making sure that they let you know they support the agenda, but they got your best interest in heart because they're Black. And then like, who trusts these task force people? I'm just saying, question everything. And don't tell me I'm picking on your people and all this BS. It's time to stop. It's time to see things for the way it is and not the way somebody tells you it is. If you look at it and you look in it and it doesn't smell right, you don't look and it doesn't look right, that's where you start. You don't have to know where you're going. You just have to start somewhere. And that's, to me, that's at the baseline, I would think is where people would be by now. At the baseline. That's where I would think they would be. So let's see, I'm going through here right now. Hold on a second. So let me do a little commercial. Let me see if I can't find this really quickly and I'll be right back. This is an old school commercial. This is like class of 2019. So if you're not in it, don't feel bad. This is class of 2019 is what I refer to my older subscribers, my seasoned subscribers. Okay, so here, let me play this really quick and I'm going to come right back. All right, guys. This program is brought to you in part by our sponsors and our viewers like you. AZ Infidel, Derek C. Williams, Melinda, Marcy T, TDOA, Freedom's March, Independent Many United, Joseph Francis Burton, Luciano, Zero the Infinite, Uncool Paranoia, and Anarchy Television. We'll be right back right after this. All right, guys. So those were some, there was one that was an older commercial, and then there were some that were not so old. So what I'm on about right now is I feel like because the iron is kind of hot right now that I should, I've been talking a little bit about reparations, but I haven't been giving you a lot of. I've been giving you some perspective based on some things that I've watched, but I figured, maybe I could show you a little bit of these actual town hall meetings that they've had. And that might give you a little bit more insight. So I played something from Megan McGlover earlier, and she was talking about Chicago specifically. And Chicago was running across my lips for a whole bunch of times. I know that. But I think to me, this whole the approach to these things are not effective. The civil rights and representative kind of style on the microphone in front of the public, and then you get a few hits, a few bites on the news. I just think that not only is it ineffective, it just doesn't cover anything. And your people that you're being represented by are actually letting you know that they are in support of the humanitarian and they're not anti-immigration. That's not why are you even addressing that? That's a shellac to me that tells you you're still controlled opposition. That's what that tells me, because I don't think you need to mention that. It's not, nobody's asking you for your emotional connection. Nobody's asking you for that. They're asking you, if you're, to me, that's why I don't think any one person or two or three people can represent anybody. I really don't. How is that possible? How is it possible to represent anybody? There's too many different ideas and concepts and values. People have different values. The value systems are different. The value systems have evolved over time. Okay, so this is what I'm going on about. This is Chicago council meetings. There were some really good ones. I mean, and to me, some of the lengthier ones, I probably watched many of them until one or two of them to the end, because every single person that, the Chicagoans were standing up. They all had something different to say. They all had different experience, and to me, their issues, or dare I say, their claims were valid. But when you got a corrupt group of people and you keep representing yourself in this 1950s push coalition kind of style, where are you going with that? You're not going anywhere. Okay, so I think there's that new mayor that they have. That guy is, to me, is it possible that he's worse than what they've had? He's definitely got a handler. He's got it. I'm just saying. But yeah, the $51 million debate is where some of the stuff came from. And like I said, it was helpful to see the actual people. And you've got people there. The people there are not all whatever, but they're just, I just think that they're brainwashed and they're misguided. And I don't know, they cannot see in their own ways. They're too prideful. Double-mindedness. The double-mindedness is what's keeping these people chained. But like I said, it's very much like, I talk about narcissism, I compared to narcissism. They cannot get past they're not going to be able to get past. They're trauma bonded. They're trauma bonded to people that do things that abuse them and mistreat them. And I was like, oh, they're not bad. The same way they talk about Joe Biden. Oh, it's just Joe Biden. He's just old. He's just old. That's how you make excuses for people. You just make, oh, it's not that bad. Oh, he's just an old white man. Yeah, I'm telling you, it's something to behold. So I'm going to at least play one of these examples because it's like an hour's worth. But the last lady was very succinct. She was quite organized. And she even said, hey, look, I'm going to stick with my script right now so I can remain. Because, it's controlled what you even see in the news. What they allow you to see is very much controlled as well. They don't want all this coverage to get out. I don't think they do. Okay, so let me skip that. I'm going to do as much as I can because I was just curious to see what exactly are you guys talking about at these freaking meetings. So I'm going to share one with you in just a second. How are you guys doing out there? Hope you guys are well. It is Wednesday, right? It's almost the end of the month. It feels like, I don't know, time just feels like we're on a loop of some sort. That's what it feels like. I'm just saying, it just seems like that there's a time loop that we're in. The loop is where you are. The loop is where you find the truth. Okay, and consistency is where you'll find the truth. Okay, so let me go to my history here. I just pulled it up on another page. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put this up. Let's watch it a little bit. If I find the extended one, it's very entertaining and it's very informative. So I'm going to play this one. So this is going to be from the 24th Police District. This is from LIV, WGN, of course. But yeah, there's some lengthier ones. So yeah, so we've got a couple of different. But I'm telling you, it was worth it. It was so worth it that I was able to watch that. Okay, so let's get to the first clip. Hope you guys are doing well out there. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm not trying to do a marathon here, but it's kind of nice to be here with you guys. And I don't know if the pendulum is out there. It should be. If you want to come on and say something, come on up. Come on up. Come on up. What is it? We used to have a saying. At the church, we welcome you once, we welcome you twice, we welcome you next to Jesus Christ. Is what they. I found that to be really awkward when I was younger, but okay, it's catchy and yeah. But be genuine, right? Let's be genuine. Okay, so let's go ahead and play this one real quick. Okay, hope you guys are doing well. Let's have it. This city meeting over housing migrants. Okay.
Good morning. That plan to house migrants in another vacant Southside school is not sitting well with neighbors. One older woman says perhaps it's time the city consider larger sites like McCormick Place to house migrants that would help relieve police stations, including this one. The police stations have been housing hundreds of these asylum seekers. The mayor-elect, Brandon Johnson, did address this issue this morning. He says that the city needs more federal help, and his team is working on a plan to address what he calls a crisis engineered by outside forces. He says he does not want to see one community pitted against another.
But we also have to be very clear that our families in the city of Chicago have been ignored for a very long time, right? You got to admit that.
Thank you.
We have to admit that. And so I want to make sure that Black families who have been left out and that the brown families who want in are not seen as a divided space.
Everyone, this is the community that you're pushing this over on.
This was what city officials encountered during a community meeting at South Shore College Prep. There were so many angry outbursts, they never gave their presentation.
I don't have anything else to say. I'm ticked off.
You're doing this wrong. You're doing it wrong. 250 people? Give me a break.
More than 8,000 migrants have been bused to Chicago, most of them from Texas, since late August. The city has housed asylum seekers in shelters, park district facilities, and police stations. City Hall now proposes housing 250 to 500 migrants at the shuttered South Shore High School.
It is a chair for them to sit, a place to decompress, and a place to take a hot shower. That's really what this is, and a nice meal. It's a place to decompress and not be in a police district.
Despite community pushback, the city opened a vacant Woodlawn school to migrants earlier this year. South Shore residents expressed similar concerns about safety, use of their tax dollars. Many felt blindsided.
We do not hear from city officials until election time. This is insulting at its best.
49th Ward Alderwoman Maria Haddon says the city should consider housing migrants at McCormick Place, Navy Pier, or vacant big box stores so neighborhoods are not inconvenienced. Haddon says managing a few large sites would be easier than managing multiple smaller ones. The Alderwoman points out that McCormick Place has a lot of space, multiple facilities that the city can use. An OEMC official recently told a city council committee that the city has identified 13 options as shelters, but each one of those options does come at a cost. In Rogers Park, Judy Wang, WGN News.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay. So
Recordings just got
but to me, that one was not as good. That's the shellac part, what I call it, because it was more narrated. But I was trying to get you guys the coverage that's going to be just the raw footage. And they may have started yanking these down because here again, the media doesn't show you they don't like to let things get out that they don't want you to see. Okay. That's what they don't want. They don't want it getting over to you. Okay. So I'm going to show you the South Shore. Let me show you this one, the South Shore. I'm working real hard here. Like I said, since I've got the time, why the heck not? Okay, so here we go. Here we go. Now it's starting to show some of where you get to actually hear from the people without the narration. So here, let me go to this one. Let me show you this little interview first. This is what I'm talking about. You see this style where you got your representative here. I don't know who this woman is, but I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to show you the actual meeting itself. Okay. So let's go here.
It is insulting that.
Okay. So let's go here. This is a very good one. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to show you this one. And then there's an extended form where you get to see the interactions between those people, all these people sitting up on these stages and whatever, and how they're, how they control you, your every move. Your voice, there you go.
You would consider such action about a forgotten community that none of you live in.
Developing tonight, outbursts and outrage at a community meeting in South Shore over a housing plan for migrants.
The debate comes as the city deals with the crisis of where to put migrants bussed in from the border.
Elizabeth Matthews is live now with more. Elizabeth.
Corey and Don, contentious to say the least. This forum was a chance for city leaders to get input from the public about the old South Shore High School housing migrants. The city got their input.
A packed house at the South Shore International College Prep High School. The crowd voicing their opinion, strongly opposing the addition of migrants in their community.
I am just outraged. I'm outraged, and I don't understand why our community was chosen.
City representatives saying the old South Shore High School would not be a shelter, but one of 3 respite centers for the migrants to temporarily sleep, eat, and take a shower, starting with about 250 people taking up the building's first floor. This is a way for the city to get the current 300 migrants out of the police stations. Questions were asked, but answers hard to hear, interrupted by the upset crowd. Before the meeting, a small protest of South Shore neighbors demanding the energy put into the migrant issue be put into their neighborhoods.
It is a slap in the face that we as citizens of the United States of America do not have the resources and support, but you're going to bring people who are not citizens here in our community, in our buildings that we pay taxes for, that you took away from us. Yeah. That is completely unacceptable. We are in a humanitarian crisis right now. The Black people in Chicago are bleeding on the streets.
Mayor-elect Brandon Johnson had this to say about the migrant crisis.
We have a responsibility to make sure that families who are seeking love and support here in the city of Chicago and throughout the state of Illinois, that they are not just welcome, but they are serviced.
So is this a done deal? A spokesperson for Mayor Lori Lightfoot's office says this is a possible solution, but still a fluid situation. Reporting live tonight, Elizabeth.
You hear the double talk. It's a fluid. You see how they say they double talk inside of what? Let me finish her. Let me play that back just a second. Then I'm gonna show you this raw footage. The raw footage is the best. Here you go.
Fluid situation.
Yeah.
This is a possible solution, but still a fluid. Mayor Lori Lightfoot's office says this is a possible solution, but still a fluid situation. Reporting live tonight, Elizabeth Matthews, Fox 32, Chicago.
Hey. Okay. So there you go. Possible and fluid. Do those two things work for you? Possible situation, but fluid solution, something like that. What the hell does that even? I'm telling you, if you put that in a blender, it's gonna clash. Okay, just saying. The flavors, they don't work. Marcy T's here. Okay, so now for my next trick, I want to show you the actual meeting. Now, see, they're not going to play this. Now that gets me back to my other situation, where that whole NIMBY thing comes up. Honey, I want to find that, because then you could see how they have the liberals outside. They'll show you the liberals outside arguing about it. And then from that, they'll let you see something else, but they're not going to let you see what I'm showing you in this actual town. The actual town hall meetings where you're hearing from the actual people that live there. That's the real news. But instead, they show two liberals, one white person and then another person out there arguing. And I'm like, well, I don't really know why are you showing this little diatribe and not the actual people? Why are you doing that? I'm just saying the imagery, I'm telling you, what they want you to see is very, it lets you know. It lets you know what's really going on. Marcy T, you're back. I just figured, I have time today, so I figured I'd look at some of this stuff with you guys. If you guys want to humor me with it, but like I said, I found these were very not only entertaining, but they were. I just find these two people standing outside. But in the meantime, let me go ahead and cue it up. I'll go ahead and cue it up. But those two liberals standing outside, I can't tell. Maybe they're crisis actors. I don't know. But I'm just saying it's very interesting what the media puts the camera on. What the media will put the camera on and what they will not show you. Now, I'd much rather see these actual audio, the live ones, rather than seeing you put the camera on two people standing outside that have no damn interest in real interest. They do have interest where it comes to taxpayer But you gotta, when I see purple hair and all that stuff, I already know. I already know. Okay, so here you are. Here you are to sing us a lullaby, to give us the allegory. But you're not really connected to the, you don't have a real sense of commune. You are not of the commune that these people, they're not in your yard. They're not on your street. Okay. Not exactly. You're probably, living in suburbia somewhere. Okay. So let's go ahead and do that. Marcy Tees, you sent me something. Yeah, but that lady that was up there speaking for them, I question when they get somebody that comes out that emerges. Here it is. Okay, I'm gonna play the big time. Let's see, the big time. I'm gonna play the larger one, but I'm gonna show you the little thing that I took a look at closer. Oh my gosh, I swear sometimes the stuff that they put on YouTube is a whole mess. Okay, so I'm gonna get this one queued up, and then I'm gonna show you the NIMBY one. Okay, so let me get you queued up for the one that I really want to show you. Okay, so here we go. Let's go to, hold on a minute. You guys hang in there with me. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit of a mess. But this was not planned, okay? This was not exactly planned. It's definitely valuable, okay? Let's go to it right now. Okay, so let's go to here it comes. Here we go. Okay, so here's what I'm talking about. This is the part they want you to see. Okay, this is the part they want you to see. And I won't put the color factor in there yet, but I want you, for optics, for the optics is what I'm doing this for. So let's go ahead and look at this one. I'll take a look, Marcy T. Give me just a minute. Hold on. Okay. Actually, I have nothing right now. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I got something now. So hold on, I'll get right with you. Okay, so let me show you this one. This is what they want you to see. And then I'm going to show you the actual town hall meeting, the meat and potatoes, not the allegory. Here we go.
City's migrant crisis and plans to turn Wright College into a shelter for hundreds of migrants. Right now, people on the Northwest Side are getting a chance to voice their opinions on that plan. CBS 2's Chris Ty is live on campus. Chris.
Erica, the topic that has dominated the national conversation, namely these asylum seekers and what to do with them, is bubbling over here in the Dunning neighborhood on the campus of Wilbur Wright College. We see folks on both sides of this issue. So many times we've reported on folks against these migrants coming in. Now we are seeing folks saying, hey, Chicago is a welcoming city. What will be the verdict tonight from the public at large? This is the meeting that is starting here at the 6 o'clock hour inside the gym here at Wilbur Wright. It's being organized by 38th Ward Alderman Nick Sposato. He says these migrants are going to be moving into this campus June the 1st. They're slated to stay here through August the 1st. His question is, what happens after August the 1st? Big questions that a lot of folks here say Chicagoans shouldn't be forced to foot the bill for. Outside this meeting, emotions bubbled over with folks on both sides.
What ward are you from?
I'm from the fourth ward.
Fourth ward. Well, your ward should be assessed money to pay for this. If you're Alderman
Because
Vogt,
I live in the fourth ward and believe that human beings are never illegal. Yes.
why should I pay? I don't want to pay.
Because this is about humanity.
No, it's not about humanity.
You're doing a NIMBY, not in my backyard.
No. I'm doing is, it's all about money. Money, honey.
You see, that's the narrative that they want you to see. You see the blue hair or whatever, the feminist versus, you see that? You see, they want you to see they want you to see the culture war. They want you to see the culture war. Let me back that up just a little bit. But that's not where you're going to get the real meat from, is what I'm trying to show you. That's the allegory. That's the play that they want. Why would the media focus on those two? It's almost like it's staged. Look at it, or look in it. Here we go.
Both sides.
What ward are you from?
Their point is that you don't see both sides. So here are the two sides that they'd like for you to see. Notice that, I'm sorry, but in this case, these two people, they don't look like they live in these neighborhoods. Not to say that they don't, but I'm saying you've got somebody here, hair's not purple, but I think she's on a feminist wave, and he's probably a citizen, okay? Or I don't know whether, are they actors? Did they set this up? I don't know. Let's watch it. It looks like this was, they played this out for a reason, but that's not the real news, the real perspective of the people.
What ward are you from?
I'm from the 4th ward.
4th ward. Well, your ward should be assessed money to pay for this. If you're Alderman
Because
Vogt,
I live in the 4th ward and believe that human beings are never illegal. Yes.
why should I pay? I don't want to pay.
Because this is about humanity.
No, it's not about humanity.
You ever hear the term? You're doing a NIMBY, not in my backyard.
No. I'm doing is, it's all about money. Money, honey.
That back and forth, a bit of a microcosm of what we're expecting inside tonight. We'll have a recap of all that for you tonight on our news at 10. In the meantime, tomorrow, City Council is expected to vote on a $51 million package to help pay for these asylum seekers in Chicago. We're live in Dunning.
Okay, so I just wanted to show you how they stage stuff for you to see, because to me that looks very staged. It's not the real meat. Okay, it's not the real meat and potatoes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and show you here. I'll finish that video and I'll take you right to the real town hall meeting.
Chris Ty, CBS 2 News.
Quite the exchange there, Chris. Thank you.
I'm sorry, it wasn't quite the exchange there. Like I want to hear from those two people. I want to hear from the actual residents. Because like I said, they use all the little terms, all the little buzzwords. You're doing a NIMBY, not in my backyard. This is about humanity. Typical, Chicago is a riddle. And they've been engineering for a long time, social engineering for a long time. And I find it insulting that they wouldn't show somebody that actually lives, from these actual places. Okay, so let me stop sharing that one and get to the meat of it. Let's get to the meat, boss. Okay, let me show you really quickly. But that's the part, when they put the camera on like that, that's the representation they want you to see. But is it real? No. This is where the real concerns are the people that actually that are in this meeting right here. So this is the South Shore community meeting on the housing migrants issue. And I imagine by now they're running out of money because it's almost July. They said $51 million they want to do for June. So this is going to be one to watch. How much are they going to ask for July? Okay. Here we go. They're in the town hall. I might bump through this a little bit just to get you to some meat, but here we go. Maybe bump.
It's just very temporary for these folks and very transient. We talk about a respite center versus a shelter. There are very different specifications. So when an individual, for example, comes from a state-sanctioned bus from the state of Texas, which will be starting here very shortly, when that happens, this is a facility as a temporary holding place in order for them to actually seek a sheltered bed. Now, what that means, though, is it is a chair for them to sit, a place to decompress, and a place to take a hot shower. That's really what this is in a nice meal. It's a place to decompress and not be in a police district. When it comes to other services beyond that, it's just very temporary for these folks and very comes to the total number of people.
Excuse me, a question was asked, and please let them answer so the young lady can get the answer to her question.
When it comes to the total number of people at South Shore at any given point in time, it is fluid. What I will tell you, which we were going to present, we were looking at a potential phased approach utilizing the first floor first only. What that means, you can fit up to, we'd start with 250, 500. Everyone, can you please
Please be quiet. We have someone else who wants to ask a question.
You know who has been quiet and bringing up work. That's something to us. It's my turn.
Please respect the young lady who wants to ask a question.
Right next to our school, man. Our children.
Please give the young lady respect who's asking the question now.
Hello, people up there with the answers. I have some questions. I can ignore that person. Please tell me, who is the they? Who is the they that made the decision to bring 250 people? How did you do that without consulting them? You didn't ask for any input from anybody who lives in front of South Shore High School. Undoing. That was not what I intended to say to you. I wanted to say something nice and pleasant. But when I think of 250 transit people coming in and out, 2 or 3 days here, 2 or 3 days there, that ain't gonna work. That, I don't have any say. I'm tipped off. You're doing this wrong. You're doing it wrong. 250 people? Give me a break. I don't know.
Excuse me, I would like to know, will this be something that's going to happen on and on, or will these people be able to come, stay, and then find somewhere?
The question was, who is the they that are making these decisions? You have city representatives here from a variety of offices, the mayor's office, the Department of Family Services, Office of Emergency Management. All of us are working together along with the engineers. As a city, we work collaboratively to make these decisions. As I mentioned before, there's almost 300 people sleeping on police station floors. We need to provide respite to be able to have a place for them to stay as we wait for shelter.
So what about
How long will this take? Will they be coming and going, or will they just be there for a while and then leave once you find housing for them? So what's going to happen with this?
Don't let them in.
How long are they staying? We can't hear you. Yeah, okay. Kayla mentioned, they get a chair, a meal, a shower, so that they're waiting for shelter. The when they leave depends on when they can find shelter placement. There is a whole process to that I can't explain if you wish to know about it. But if not, we can move on to the next question because people are discussing.
Hello. So I live on the one of the blocks mentioned very close to this, so I'd like for you guys to please just give me a little bit of respect. Let me ask these people a question, and then they'll get the answer. Let me get the answers that we're looking for, please. Because to the panel, I recently bought in this neighborhood because I like the neighborhood, and I was so excited about the fact that the police training center was there. And now is that being removed? That's one of my questions. Also, what's going to be done about health care for these people? What are they going to do during the day when I'm at work? What's going to happen? Are there any concessions for those of us who might not have a water meter because they're going to be taking showers, using the toilet, running water? Is the bill going to go up? What's going to happen with trash? I am concerned with safety in the area. To my neighbors, I don't know who's going to answer this question, but please allow them to speak because, as I said, I live extremely close to this. I am so concerned about this. I have, for the last few days, seriously been considering selling my house.
Hello? Can you hear me? All right.
Say your name.
My name
Yikes. Why do they need an usher?
Director of Constitutional Policing and Reform for the Chicago Police Department. And I'm here this evening with the commander of the 4th District and also the Deputy Chief of the Training Academy, which is under me. Okay, Deputy Chief Papiano. Her question, in case people didn't hear, her first question was, what about the training academy? Okay, the training that was going on in that facility. We have vacated the building. However, stop. Training will continue over at the new academy. For security, the Chicago Police Department will put 24/7 officers at that location. Furthermore, we are increasing camera coverage in addition. But we also want to work, as the Alderman said, we want to work with you to see what other measures you would like there. And you tell me, stop, I want to give you my information. So that you, again, if you have other ideas for the police department in that facility, we will try to accommodate.
Excuse her. And I have a good authority that this lady knows a lot about what's going on. Please give her the respect that she deserves right now.
She was a neighbor, she was worried about that. So we want to tell you that we are committed. We will be there 24/7. You're welcome very much.
They don't have that kind of police presence for regular people. What a joke.
With all due respect, my heart goes out to them, first and foremost. I'll just say that. I do not agree for them to come to our community. First and foremost, I own a home-based daycare. And last time I checked, you had to do background checks on individuals, especially some people like these that are coming into our community. Have they been background checked? No. Are they? Absolutely us. We feel like our property values are going to be at stake. You know, she just said she's thinking about moving. People are not going to want to move into the area. They're going to be afraid. We already have dealing with gang wars. What's going to happen with these new people coming in? Please help me to understand.
I want to be able to explain. So I want to be able to explain the process. If you look at the screen, for those that can see it, you can see where the current shelters are placed throughout the city. And so what happens is because we receive people in such a large amount, we have to look at city assets, city spaces to be able to create shelter. So you can see the screen, ma'am. I don't know if you can see it, where it has the different locations. The red dots are the city shelters and the purple are respite. You can see all of our respite centers currently are on the north side. So we chose locations. I know lots of folks have lots of empty, I'm trying to explain. We know lots of folks have identified large empty spaces. There's very specific spaces, like very specifics that need to happen in order for a space to be made a shelter. So even though there are empty spaces in Chicago, it doesn't necessarily mean that they can be appropriate for respite or for shelter. Your question was about background checks. These folks and the ones that received most recently are families. So these are asylum seekers. So they're processed. Do you want me to explain?
Not all of them are.
I want to explain how they're processed. You can share information, but if you're not trying to hear it, you can just adjourn. Another question. Okay, wait one second. I want to make sure I explain the background check at the border. So folks that are processed through the border obviously have to go through biometrics. They have to be processed to be allowed in. They're entered in what's called humanitarian corridor, which is under the color of law. And so when they come here, they also have to maintain certain behaviors, because if they want to be able to apply for asylum, they cannot have a criminal record. These are majority folks from South and Central America, but they're also from all over the world. They hail from Haiti, Angola, China. We're seeing folks from all over that are coming to the United States. Ma'am, next question.
I grew up on a black family. My father used to do Chicago police just like you for 30 years. I'm very proud of our block because in fact it has been listed as one of the nicest blocks to live on in Chicago. Now what is going on, and I don't hate anyone. I just want to feel safe. Yes. I work, I'm not going to say the name of it, for a place where we have a few migrants, well, it's more than a few. And I'm not trying to start a riot when I say this, but they fight. Yes. They are gangs. Yes. We have to, it's constant security. We've been hired. What is going to happen? What is what? I know you said you're bringing policemen 24/7. But the thing is that I mean, I'm just kind of like everybody else. Honestly, I'm a little afraid because I see what happens where I am, and some of the fights I've seen are vicious. And I know we have gangs in this community here in Chicago, over here where we are. I'm afraid that they might fight among themselves because the gangs here in over here, they can't control them. Right.
This usher is really a nerve-wracking. I don't know why they need a handler for people to go to the mic. Cannot stand this crap. It's the same crap they do at the churches. You don't need ushers.
She will answer the question. Please give her a moment.
made about safety. I have anxiety about the safety or lack thereof on our block in our community. 6 homes were broken into on our block within a 2-week period in an afternoon during the summer. That's high. We only have homes on one side of the street. CAP meetings we attend, we get the lip service. Cameras that are over there, we're informed they're inoperable. They can't find or they can't see anything. While the police were there, they promised to be good neighbors, not to park on our side of the street, and we pay to park. Every day, police cars park on the wrong side of the street, getting added to it. These are the officers who are not in uniform. They are not, lights are not on, they're not coming on a car. They're just being very inconsiderate and bad neighbors. Now, all of a sudden, we're gonna come up with 24 hours of surveillance of police presence. Seriously? 2 weeks ago, my mother and I were a young man walking down our street, pulling a gun on us. The police officer who was at the school said, "Oh, I'm not doing anything." Okay. You see the gun, so we run into school. She calls, I call, my mother calls, and said, "Well, we can't come out right now because we have higher crime going on." The anxiety that I have coming out of my door. Like she said, you said you guys have interviewed. What criteria? Yeah. Did you get feedback, whatever criteria that you are interviewing, allowing people to qualify to be in an asylum, to seek asylum here? These are some real concerns. And where are these resources coming from? They're limited resources. So now all of a sudden you have deep pockets to people who don't pay taxes and who don't get these.
Please let her finish asking her question.
I understand helping people, but you start with self. You start with your own. Why do we not have these resources with what's going on right here, right now? The woman who was just speaking here, they were stealing cars while the police were at the academy. She was looking out her window, who you just gave your car to, having a cup of coffee. She walks to the back, comes getting green. They're stealing her car. Within 20 minutes, they attempted to steal another neighbor's car. He was sitting in his car with his seat pushed back. They didn't see him. They pulled a gun on him. The police come, they're interrogating the neighbor who was sitting in his car with ID. Nothing happened. My husband was walking our dog. They were, the lot was behind the school over here on 76. They were trying to steal the police cars. No one came out. Really? So the anxiety, my anxiety was like 110. Now it's 2,000 because I'm looking, I don't recognize people that's coming out the door. So I'm like, garbage. What are you going to do with them? So those, all of those points. Greetings, my name is Patricia King.
Dwayne, can you answer the question about the garbage? We're going to meet with the mayor after the meeting to address our concerns. They're going to meet with them after the meeting to discuss the virus.
In terms of the garbage that you mentioned, we have met with Streets and Sanitation. They're going to pick up their efforts and make more patrols and rounds and making sure that the garbage is picked up. Additionally, I'd like to add that we have a contractual services with one of our vendors who will be making rounds twice per day and making sure that they're picking up the garbage as well. So in terms of all the refuse and the garbage in the area, we're making sure that we are confiscating the garbage on a daily basis.
Okay, guys, I think you kind of get the gist there of what's going on. But yeah, But you can see these are real people that live in those areas, and they're not some staged bites with the buzz language, the approved buzz language that they want you to hear in the dialogue or diatribe or whatnot. And you can see that these people are just handlers, and they're just controlled opposition. I don't see it. But to me, the way they're going about it is not. It's not going to work. It's not. Okay, guys. So I appreciate you so much for your time today. We'll come back. We'll see what happens. But until then, stay tuned, and I will catch up with you guys later. Thank you so much, Marcy T, for coming in. And yes, this is a guys. These women, these people don't really care. They don't care what the effects are. They don't care what the consequences are. Do this. Do what you're told. Accommodate. Service. Are you a freaking hotel? I don't know what you are, but your opinion, your voice doesn't count. Okay? All right, guys. I will see you later. Thank you so much for your time for segment 1 and 2. Have a great start to your Wednesday.